Good morning, everyone, and welcome again. Today I want to share with you a gospel reading from Luke that was the gospel reading for Monday's Mass. And I'm sharing this because of the story of a very good friend who gave, I thought, very strong witness to me many years ago. The text itself begins with a man in the crowd saying to Jesus, "Master, tell my brother to give me a share in our inheritance." And Jesus responds, "Who made me judge or arbiter of your claims?" Then he goes on to say, "Be aware, be awake, be conscious of avarice of every kind, because a person's life is not secured by what he owns, even if he has more than he needs." And then Jesus continues with, I think, directed more towards the brother, who maybe was the executor of the will, as we'd say today. And he says, the parable of a rich man who had a bumper harvest, but didn't have sufficient capacity to store it all. So he pulled down all his barns and sheds and built new ones and bigger ones. And in these he stored the harvest and all the goods he had. And then he sat back and he said to himself, "Look, you've got more than you need for many, many years. Take it easy. Eat, drink, have a good time. Maybe even retire." And God says to him in the parable, God says, "Fool, because tonight you will die." And Jesus says, "Be on your guard against all kinds of avarice." And rather than storing up goods on earth, store up goods with God. And I was thinking of this friend of mine that I mentioned earlier. He had a good business, a small business, but it was very successful. In fact, he started getting requests or invites from local municipalities and quite a few big businesses. And so he had to sit down and think, do I want to go big? And he said, now, I could have a bumper harvest if I went big, but I would have to employ a secretary, get an office, equip that. I would have to employ more people, and that would mean buying or purchasing more equipment for them to use. And he said, my situation is this. I own the house I live in. My kids have all left school. And my wife does the secretarial work from home. So he said, why go big? And he didn't. So today, this friend of mine is very grateful for what he has. Family, home, friends, and he does service for the community. And he's also very grateful for the decision he made quite a few years ago. And the point, I think, comes out of the parable as well as his witness, is that we don't have to conform to popular contemporary culture. Bigger is not always better. Richer is not always richer. Because he has time with his family. He has time with neighbours. He has time at the gym. He has time to do community works. He helps out in 2 community exercises. So what I'm trying to say here is, let's be careful of all kinds of avarice. Let's listen to Jesus' advice. He doesn't say having things is bad, but when they become an addiction, or when we are totally dependent on that, and we leave aside God and neighbour. Because the parable is full of I, or my. And there's no mention of God. There's no mention of neighbour. It's all me. Okay, so Jesus advises us. Jesus counsels us. And he encourages us to do as he did. Be concerned for God and be concerned for neighbour. Okay, God bless you. See you next week.